Welcome back to Liam Doesn't Know Ball. I'm Liam, here to talk about the narrative surrounding Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Now, before I get into that, it was the Carabao Cup third round draw, the day that I wrote the script or the outline. Um, it's next day, so I fell asleep before I could record. But the good news going into it was we knew we couldn't draw Manchester United away because they're out. The bad news, we drew Brentford, which considering what was that 4 days prior, we had just been thoroughly embarrassed at that ground. There's going to be some concerns, and I think there are reasons to be concerned, but not because it's Brentford again. We're I don't think that we're going to continue playing this crap for that long. I don't anticipate Andrews uh, outwitting Emery twice in such a short amount of time. But the reason I do think that there is valid reason to be concerned is Emery doesn't prioritize the Carabao Cup. He never has. We've never made it past the fourth round. And like last season when we did, it was because we were playing Wickham. Like it wasn't that difficult. And Emery has a good reason to. He doesn't prioritize cups. We went on an FA Cup run through, frankly, a bit of luck and good timing, but that's a conversation for January when the FA Cup actually starts. Um, and it's because the league is the best chance to get into Europe. It just is. A cup competition is too risky. Now, I do think we're going to prioritize the Europa League, but I don't think we're going to do it in a Spurs way where we finish 17th and go all out to try and win it. And I'll, again, as the Europa League gets closer, I plan to do a fixture list reaction tomorrow. We'll talk about that more. But I just kind of wanted to talk about the Carabao Cup and the fact that there is a valid reason to be concerned. But let's get into what is coming up in the league, which is Palace. I'm going to reflect a little bit on Brentford. I gave my post-match rant and also did my Big Six where I talked about it. But let's just summarize. The Brentford result was so bad because, unlike Newcastle, which was kind of an unfortunate event, they were on the fast break. Konsa made a boneheaded decision, and then it became like a scrapped point. Cash had like 5 blocks. He actually, fun fact, because defensive contributions count in FPL now, he got me as many points as Salah, which is nuts. But the Brentford performance wasn't like that. It was just flat. We were playing this prissy football against a team that was very unsettled. Their striker had 1 training session. And the only advantage for them was the fact that it was away at the G-Tech. And the G-Tech, to be fair, Brentford usually play well there, but it's not Old Trafford. It's not the Etihad. It's not Anfield. We have the better manager. We have the better squad. We are... And it was just, frankly, embarrassing. It was I'm going to probably call it prissy a couple of times throughout this video. Failed to beat the basics. That's what Keith Andrews said they were doing. They were doing the basics. We still cannot break down a low block. That is very concerning. Now, all of this, it's going to be negative for a while. Just a heads up. But I promise there will be positives. Now let's talk about how that relates to Crystal Palace specifically. We don't have the best, most recent record. We failed to beat them all last year, and stretching back to the last day of the 23-24 season. But that 5-0, it was a formality. Champions League was already sewn up. We had a heavily rotated side where Callum Chambers started. Emery's son was on the bench. Yes, they deserved to win, and the result was the result, but you gotta keep in mind that context. And we did win the fixture at Villa Park, and at 3-1, but that scoreline heavily flatters us. Our first goal didn't come until the 87th minute on a Duran banger, a stoppage time penalty that went to VAR to potentially chalk it off. We are very lucky Darren England stuck with his on-field decision. And then Bailey got another one just for gravy. So that, you know, like good results, but the performance, again, not great. And then the draw, the 2-all draw at Villa Park on my birthday. Like, oh, that was an awful birthday present. We conceded in the 3rd minute due to a defensive lapse. Where was Diego Carlos? Ian Matson was the only one chasing Sarr. And yeah, he was starting to catch up to him, but Matson's not strong enough, big enough to take on Sarr. It was awful. And, you know, our goals didn't come necessarily from our pretty football. The ball was kind of bobbling around. McGinn had a good pass. Watkins took it around Henderson. And then, like, the second goal arguably came from pretty football, but because it came off of a corner from the pretty football, and the header, to be fair, was a nice header from Ross Barkley, but Palace doesn't fall for this. I mean, they conceded 3 times in 3 games. And the game at Selhurst, the 4-1 loss, I didn't get to go back and watch those highlights. I was more interested in watching the draw, those highlights to refresh my memory. I just remember it was a nice finish from Rodgers. Then the FA Cup semifinal, that was embarrassing. That was at Wembley. The whole, like, that is the only match on, or like the only premium match on. And the 3-0, again, that flattered us. It should have, and really, it really should have been 5-0. I maintain the first goal should not have been chalked off. I thought that was Konsa stopping defending. I've been very critical of him on this channel thus far, and I think for good reason, because he just likes to award himself fouls or free kicks that the ref hasn't necessarily decided is a free kick. Martinez stopped a penalty that it masked just how bad it was. It could have been another 5-0, and it should have been. So I think there are reasons to fear Palace. We do not show up against them, or haven't, at least in the last, what is it that now, like 4 times we've played them. And then add our current form. I know I've already talked about Brentford, but let's go a little bit further. We have 0 goals in the last 3 games. That is not acceptable. And I'm talking about in league. Like, preseason doesn't necessarily count. It can give you some clues. And Watkins and Malen were playing very well. Now, Watkins isn't getting any chances. He's feeding on scraps. Rodgers is out of form. Pau Torres has been pretty poor defensively for a while. He was like, Mateta is a big lad. And for the record, I'm going to do my starting 11 tomorrow or Saturday because it's a Sunday game. I don't think he'll be starting, but there's a reason for that. Like, yeah, his creative output is nice, but I don't necessarily think he's been creating a whole lot when he's been given chances. And he got bullied by Raul Jimenez. He's a smaller guy. What's Mateta gonna do to him? So we have to sacrifice that creativity to just basically give ourselves a chance, because we're not creating anything, so we can't concede. Another concern I have is the right side is very light on creativity. We were pretty much all of last season because Bailey was out of form. Rodgers was not doing well on the right side. Kamara's injured. He usually, because Emery's very defensively careful, he likes to have 3 at the back for cover to be safe. So, and Boubacar Kamara, because he has that experience as a center back, that's usually his role. I think Cash does it sometimes. Now, I think the silver lining is he doesn't have to decide when to go forward as much. He's going to probably be staying back. Yes, I am going to do. Sorry, I'm just going through my notes. Yeah, I'm going to do my starting 11 tomorrow. And one final piece is we cannot lose this game. we might have to draw it. God, I hope it's not a scoreless draw. I cannot go 4 league games without a goal. That will be very concerning. But this narrative, if we go into the international break with 1 point, that is going to be a narrative dumpster fire. The Villa fan base is already on edge. We were losing it against Brentford. We lose against Palace at home, ending our magnificent run at our fortress. Villa Twitter is going to be very, very toxic for 2 weeks, and I don't want that. We have to at least hold on for a result. Now, reasons to be positive / optimistic. The Emery factor. He is known for tactical masterclasses. He is able to change things at halftime. But I don't think we've been seeing that as much. And that's a slight concern, but he is capable of doing that. So that's always a positive. That's always a benefit. Konsa's returning. Criticism aside, we are stronger defensively when he's in the lineup. I don't think that can be argued. He and Mings make a really good, strong defensive partnership. Konsa's a proven last man defender. He's been playing that role under 3 managers now. He's doing it for England. And his playing out from the back along with Mings, they've both gotten better. Now they're not these like elegant ball playing center halves like Pau Torres is by trade, but they can do it. Another benefit, Eze has left for Arsenal. Eze ripped us apart. He ripped a lot of teams apart, hence why he's heading to Arsenal. And that's a positive that's out of our hands, but I'll take what I can get. And finally, the Gesand, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I know little French. I'm American. We don't learn French. I took Spanish in high school and German in college, and I got a C in German like every semester, so foreign languages aren't my thing. But yeah, he is a positive. I would like to see him start. Again, I'll get more into that tomorrow or Saturday. He looked very lively against Brentford. His first 30 seconds, he was causing problems in the box. He's, from what I've heard, he's right-footed, but he plays on the right. He doesn't really cut in very well. And I still maintain we are stronger on the left than we are on the right. So that is good that we've got someone who can help out on the right. I'm hoping this means that McGinn can stay central while Gesson plays out right. I know I said I wanted McGinn playing on the right, but I didn't want him that wide. Again, I will defend myself by saying I didn't mean that wide. I meant just like a bit of a half space and use cash for width, but I think I've already talked about that. And yeah, I've already talked about we haven't had any real right wing consistency since the 23-24 season with Bailey and Diaby on the right wing. And why do I have Cash and Young on there when Young left and wasn't there for 23-24? But yeah, Konsa took on that role and he's played it fine. I think Bogard can play that role, but yeah, it'll be nice to have an actual right winger. I'm sorry, I know this got a little off topic and rambly at the end, but I hope that gives you a little bit more perspective about the narrative going into this game. It's bad, or like it's not positive, and there is a lot of pressure on this game. But I'm going to stay optimistic. I don't think we can stay crap forever. We're at Villa Park. We must defend our fortress. That's the narrative around Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Thank you for watching, and up the Villa.